Welcome back to the Talk Podcast, everyone. We are continuing with a very sensitive topic, which was, if you remember, the young lady who is talking about how she got infected with HIV, and we are going to take a look, continue, listen in very carefully, and we all are going to learn something for sure.
And two, I want to know who's responsible, so I give their names to the Department of Health, obviously, and then I contacted them personally because I wanted to tell them. Now, I had 3 different reactions to my diagnoses, and I'll get into that. So the first reaction, he was sympathetic, he was so kind, nice, and he was kind of confused. I was like, okay, you need to go get tested, blah, 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 and he was kind of lost, what does all of this mean? What is HIV? I'm just confused. He was very, kind of immature to what was going on. But I also had no clue about this before, so it was fine. I guided him in the right way. He got tested, provided me negative results. The second person was my boyfriend at the time. He treated me so bad, barely asked if I was okay when I was in the hospital, didn't check on me. When I was in the hospital, I literally had to find somewhere for him to get tested. And this man was on the phone yelling at me, talking about, I don't have health insurance, and who's gonna pay for this? It was all about him, and him being scared. Never comforted me. He was just God showed me that he was not meant to be my boyfriend, and that was a blessing in itself. At that time, it upset me. I was devastated by that a little bit because I had just been stigmatized, and it was hard. But
now I'm going to say something, and I do not mean this offensive at all, okay? But I want us to be more mindful and careful, because I notice this a lot. We all do this. I do this as well, right? Something goes wrong, and then suddenly we remember God and how God didn't want us to go that way. It's true. There are some paths in life that God really doesn't want us to go, but he tells us that beforehand. If we would have followed, we wouldn't even find ourselves in such position, right? Now, I know we are all not perfect. Not everyone is going to be married first before they have their sexual experiences, but still, I'm sure that God is not telling us to, be giving our bodies, entertaining different men more or less at the same time, if you want to put it that way, or in close proximity. Is that how you say it? And not being sure where we stand in those men's life, not actually choosing relationship or bringing that up as a conversation, or, all these things. To some degree, I'll say it again, there was a choice that has been, we make choices. People, be mindful.
This is what I really want to talk about, this third person, okay? This third person,
So 3 different dudes were clapping the cheeks, right? And she happened to have a boyfriend. Of course he's going to be upset. He's dealing with you. I guess he didn't become your boyfriend overnight, but he's dealing with you. You told the first guy, and he know he wasn't your main, so he had to know somebody else was clapping the cheeks. And you probably told him you had a boyfriend. That's neither here nor there. So luckily for him, he tested negative. So your boyfriend, of course he's going to be pissed off. What did you think? What's happening? Especially if he's only dealing with you. So
phone, do this conversation and get off the One night, called him and I asked him. Looking back now, at the time I had been in the hospital for literally 5 days, hadn't even seen the sunshine, so I just wanted to get off the phone, do this conversation and get off the phone, I call him and I said to him hi, I've been diagnosed with HIV, and the first thing this man said to me was, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What's your treatment plan?"
Now, this is the part where, the story is unfolding. And to be honest, the way it's unfolding is really heartbreaking. Because unfortunately, this woman came in contact with someone who knew for a fact that they were positive, and someone who's reckless, someone who doesn't care about other people, someone who's choosing to infect other people, someone who's not telling other people, look, this is my status, and that is wrong. That is something I can never support. That is bad, right? It can happen that you are facing situations in life and it's painful and difficult. We will understand that, but that does not give you the right to draw other people into that, to endanger their life. That's definitely evil.
In that moment, like, we talked for a little bit after that. Like, he was like, oh, I'm here for you, blah, 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 like, XYZ. But he asked me what my treatment plan was. Why would you ask me what my treatment plan was unless you already had an understanding of HIV, right? So in the hospital, in the state that I'm in, the Department of Health will call you. They called me while I was in the hospital. They will call you and ask who you came into contact with, and they will ask for your sexual partner's first, last names, addresses if you have them, date of birth, whatever you have pertaining to these people, so they can, one, contact them as well and let them know, but two, like, it's a health risk. Like, these people need to be aware of my status because I came into contact with them point blank period. So I gave this information to the health department, and this third person that I asked, he was also the only person who literally could not provide me a negative test result. I asked him twice, he ignored me. He randomly disappeared in July. I started getting sick in June, and in July he randomly disappeared and moved to Texas. Like, he called me and was like, come see me, like, I'm leaving in 2 days, like, and I was like, no, I'm good, like, kind of get off that.
The audacity. What do you mean, come see me? You see, that is the point. There are people out there, okay? They don't really like you. They would take advantage, have fun with you in the moment, do whatever they think, living just to feed their own pleasure. This person knows exactly what is going on, and he's still trying to lure her into some kind of fake friendship, fake relationship, but he knows exactly this person is trying to get out of the picture, actually. Listen carefully.
Like, I just didn't want any parts in him at that point. And I thought it was weird that he randomly abruptly moved. Like, it was just odd. His life was so established here in Tampa, like, I didn't understand it. But I didn't think much of it because at the end of the day, it didn't affect me in that moment. Later, I realized now that he's in a different state and the laws are so different, there was nothing I could do. I called lawyers, I talked to doctors, I asked so many people, like, is there anything more that I can do? And nobody could really help me. So that was really it as far as who's responsible. I don't necessarily know that he was responsible. My gut.
So now that must be such a bad feeling. We would all assume that it was him because he's the only one who did not want to provide a negative testing result or couldn't. He's the only one who's trying to get out of the picture, meaning moving out of the state and moving to a different place. So in this scenario, this is very suspicious behavior. But she's very honest, and she's saying that, the fact that I don't have it still leaves open that we don't know. And I'm going to talk about this towards the end. If you listened in to the first episode trying to understand what this virus is, how it works, and also some situations that can come across in the sense of not everyone actually knows their status, not everyone reacts and shows symptoms immediately, not everyone has perhaps testing that is showing the correct result. People might be providing you with false results. Does that make sense? If you think about it, listen in the episode of Lily Phillips where she was asked, do you get test results from these men? And she said, some of them are not willing to show test results. Some of them will provide you fake test results. So in her scenario, the three men, one is trying to get out of the picture, Two, provided her with test results. I'm sure in this case she showed it to professionals or whatnot, but you get the gist on how these things can unfold, because the reality is we do not really know these people that we're meeting out there and trying to have relations with. We need to be mindful. We need to be careful. This goes for everyone, men and women. And sometimes, look, there are situations where, lucky she knew their names. She knew, she had a way to provide details about them. But sometimes when I look through the internet, I'm always stumbling across some story where someone is saying, yeah, I met this girl or I met this guy and his name is TJXYMB, or I don't know, something like that. I think that is a mix. Isn't that some rapper? You know what I'm trying to get to. The point is, sometimes people don't even know each other's names. They would introduce themselves with their social media names, and that's fine. And then tomorrow you check the channel, or the account is gone, it's blocked, it's deleted. You cannot get in touch. Sometimes people only meet with this apps, and then tomorrow they're unmatched, and then you don't know. Like, be mindful. Be mindful. And sometimes you have people where you don't know their level of intelligence, their state of emotion, their intentions in life. You don't know. There are people out there who are miserable and they want to draw someone else into their misery, believe it or not. But that is the biggest proof right now, this episode.
Says that he was responsible, but I just was kind of at odds with that, and I ultimately chose peace for my own sake, and that's my story as to